Hello, Maddie here. I first want to apologize for missing a week. Our world got crazy because our air conditioning outside unit died Labor Day weekend. And so we knew it was coming. We just, you know, couldn't be in our house. So the day I was going to film, we were packing everything up and going to stay with an aunt and uncle here in San Antonio. So we were there for like almost a week and a half and finally came back. And because in my mind, when we had to leave, I was like, that's fine. I'll push it a week and I'll just film next week. It'll be fine. And then like we still weren't back. And I was like, okay, so we're just going to have missed an entire video and go a month. And I'm so glad you guys are here, even with that long accidental hiatus. In that time that I was not home, I only had a couple of books with me instead of my, million of books. I've been struggling to get into books recently. I've just been having a hard time picking up something new, even picking up something old. I literally don't even know what made me find this thing, but I guess it must have been at work and I didn't want to listen to any of my usual YouTubers or anything like that. And so I was like, okay, well, let's do Audible. My family's got a lot of books that they purchased. There's also a lot of free stuff on there. And I found a series of books. They're all meant to be standalone books, but they are in the same, universe, place, whatever. So we're going to be talking about 3 Audible books. Yeah, so they're Audible originals. And it says literally only for Audible on the title. So I think these aren't even actually books you can get. I think you can only listen to them on Audible. But if you have Amazon, they're free. None of them are super long. They're very good. Anyways, let's get into the first one. The first one is Call Me Maybe by Cara Bastone. I'm pretty sure she wrote all 3 of these. Yeah, she did. So Call Me Maybe. Part of why I love them so much is 2 of the 3 books have to do with anonymity. Shocking, I know. So Call Me Maybe, it is about a girl who's she's an entrepreneur. She's starting up her business and she is calling a tech company that is in charge of that hosts her website because she is having issues. And it's about a customer service call that lasts all day. And, just kind of steamrolls from there. And it's so cute. And I love the anonymity. I love the characters. The girl is she's just really outgoing. And but it's outgoing not in the just like you're a big personality, you take up a room. It's like, no, she takes up a room in a way that like is good. She's outgoing in the type of way that you're just naturally gravitating towards her because, yeah, she may be talking a lot and inviting and welcoming, but she's just so kind and gracious and she's genuinely wants to meet you and talk to you and care for you. And so love her for that. The guy, he is so dorky and so awkward and so precious. He's got some scars for sure, which kind of leads into the anonymity a little bit. He is so pure because he struggles a lot because he really wants to ask her out like from the very beginning of the book, but he feels like ethically conflicted because he's like, she's trusting me with her website. But like, I really want to ask her out and I don't want her to feel like obligated to say yes because I've got her website in my hands. And it's like, she probably never would have thought that. But that's very sweet of you to think that way. So that is book number 1. It is very cute. I've already listened to it twice. Book number 2, Sweet Talk. Again, by Cara Bastone, because she's the one who wrote all of these. I love these. They're so cute. And they're all super short. Like, I can listen to any one of them in a workday. It's not even a full workday, and I can listen to a full book. Second one, Sweet Talk. So it starts because the main guy accidentally texts the wrong person. And it's so cute because he texts the wrong person because he's dyslexic. When he adds people into his phone, he just types random letters because he won't be able to spell it correctly in front of them and like figure it out. Like, because it takes him too long, so he just types random crap. And then when he's like back home later, he goes and he fixes it. But he never fixed this person's number. And for whatever reason, it's right next to his sister's number. So he's trying to text his sister and texts her instead. And she knows who he is because she saved his number, but he does not know who she is. And the roles are reversed in terms of, in the first book, neither of them knew who the other person was. There's a big kind of like reveal at the end of the book that you just have to read. But they do not know each other at all. So like even like saying names and stuff doesn't mean anything. But in this one, the girl very much knows who the guy is, and she's had a massive crush on him for a long time. He has no idea who the girl is because she won't tell him. Because there are some difficulties, conflicting incidents she feels has made it impossible for them to actually be together. So it's their relationship growing and blooming, and I like literally have so much to say, but I don't want to give anything away. So you just really need to listen to it because it's super, super, super cute. It's so cute. Why are these people so cute? That's because they're characters. Because they're characters. People don't want to read books about people that aren't cute. Well, I guess I'm sure some people do, but you're going to have a much more popular book if the people are precious. And these people are precious. And a couple from the first book pops up in this book in very funny ways. Or I think it's funny, at least. It's cool because you actually see the timelines. They overlap a little bit. And so that's kind of funny and interesting, which I wasn't expecting it, but I was like mind blown. So I would recommend reading them kind of in order because they're called it's the Love Lines series 1, 2, and 3. So I would recommend reading them in that order. But again, they are very much standalone books. You do not have to read them that way if you don't want to. Okay, third and finally, Seatmate. Again, by Cara Bastone. So this book does not have any anonymity in it at all. It is about two people that are sitting next to each other on the bus because they're the last ones to get there, so they get the worst seats together. And then just a day full of mishaps and hijinks that lead them to just all sorts of craziness because they go from a bus to a car to I think something else, or I think they even walk some, and a bicycle. It's a lot to get one of them where they need to go. And so it's this just crazy, crazy day, and these two people just bonding and helping each other and just genuinely caring for one another, even though they were complete strangers at the beginning of the day. That one is my least favorite. It's not bad, it's just my least favorite in that it's not the kind of storyline I enjoy as much. But one thing I really like in all of these books is all of the women kind of have aha moments. All of them happen through another person. The first two, it's through the guy, but in the last one, I actually think it's through someone else. But they realize that these things about themselves that they thought were like so fundamental, but like fundamental flaws, weren't actually that thing. Either others or themselves or their history had taught them to think of themselves and this trait a certain way and be like, this is just my burden to bear. That's just who I am as a person. And for some of them, they were leaning on it as a crutch, as a way to not live life to the fullest. And it's so cool because they don't like doing that. They're not like, oh yes, I've got this, get out of jail free card. They're like, it's this thing and people see me this way. And people anticipate that I'll do this or not do this, and they want it to not be that way. They want to be seen differently. They want to act and react to the world differently, but they don't know how. And they all get shown, it's literally just a different perspective. It's not this like deep, therapeutic, like, we had to like grind you down and build you back up. It was just like oh no, I know you think of it as this way, but I think of it like this. And it's like this simple way that they change like even a sentence. The first one definitely I have very much in my mind. I can remember this simple switch took her from seeing this thing as a huge like personal flaw. He turned it into something courageous and brave and daring and different. I love that. I think that's something a really good partner does. Evan and I have been doing a lot more stuff together recently, I feel like. But one of the big things is very, very, very recently, we just started volunteering with our church's student ministry. And we're doing it together as a couple. That's something we've been wanting to do, is we've wanted to volunteer together and very much have it be us. And not just, I'm doing this and he's doing that. We just happen to be in the same building at the same time. It's been really cool because up until very recently, the people we met already knew us as a couple. They know how we met. Most of them were at our wedding. Us as a couple isn't anything new. But with this group, it's a lot of people that don't know us as a couple, that don't even really know us as individuals, but they don't know us. So it's been so cool to almost kind of get back to our beginning and see how much we have grown. And obviously not without its faults. Do not get me wrong. Every marriage, every relationship, no matter what that may be, is going to have its issues, because it's humans. It's humans dealing with other humans, so it's going to be a rough time. That's just how it goes. It's so crazy to see how far we've come from those first days. And the biggest thing to kind of turn this introspective, and just because I've been pretty honest on this channel, one of my thing in this lifetime mostly, basically, is that I struggle with depression. That's my thing. It's been my thing for a long time. And this morning we were just talking to a group of girls, and they were asking, how we met and stuff. And this didn't actually get mentioned, but I was thinking about how, so we met on a Saturday. The following Tuesday, we had like an 8-hour study date. And it's a funny story because I did well on my paper and Evan failed his test. That tells you anything. But on that day, I already knew that even though I didn't love him yet, I knew that I wanted to marry him, which I know can be a crazy idea, but it's true. In my head, I said, let's just lay all of our cards out. That way, if we scare him away, we scare him away early, because I don't want to fall in love with him and then have me be too much for him, have my darkness be too dark for him. So I laid it all out. I was like, this is where I was. This is what I went through. This is my diagnosis. This is what I'm doing about it. XYZ. And I've asked him, and he's even explained the reason that my depression was not a red flag was because as I was telling him about it, as I was going through it, it was very evident that I wasn't staying there. I was actively working towards healing. I was actively working towards support and understanding that I can't do it alone, understanding that in some areas, I'm just going to need a little bit more. I am lacking, so I will need someone to come alongside me and help me a little bit more in those areas. And so for him, he was like, it was never a red flag because you're not dwelling in it. You're not sitting there wallowing and just being like, oh, you wouldn't understand. That's something that I've clung to a lot because we've had a flare up of my depression, and it's not been very fun. But we're actively working on it. But to have this man take this thing that I just put in front of him that I saw as just all awful and darkness, and him say, like, yeah, that is rough and that is difficult, but it doesn't define you. It is not all encompassing of your personality and life. It's a thing you have and you deal with, but you are choosing to take this thing, one, fight it, and two, honestly, hopefully be a light for others. Genuinely. I want to help others that have this struggle for a myriad of reasons. One, if I'm going to go through something, I want that trial to be used. But two, I was so blessed. I have an older sister who, while does not have the exact same diagnoses, has similar diagnoses, who went before me. And she has said, I know she was joking, but it is seriously, she like prepped our parents on how to handle this. My mom would call her and be like, this is going on. What do I do about it? Like, how do I handle this? How can I best be there for her? And I genuinely hate that she had to go there first, but I have no words for how grateful I am for the path she created so that it could go more smoothly for me when I was at my lowest. So, while my other siblings don't have this diagnosis or any of these diagnoses, which is a good thing, I would not want them to have it. It's not fun. There are lots of people in the world with the same diagnoses or similar diagnoses that have been on the same medication or similar medication, that have similar experiences to the point where I can genuinely be helpful. And that goes both ways. There are even have been people in the church that are older than me and been able to be like, yeah, I get it. I was diagnosed around your age, and like, I get it. Like, I'm still on medication, yada, yada. It's a whole thing. I have lots of thoughts on just depression and how dumb of a diagnosis it is. To have people look at you and say, you're not broken, you're strong, and you're powerful, and you are moving forward. And we're circling back to the books, or audiobooks. These people coming alongside them who don't know them, but can look at them and say, so they don't have any of the weird prejudice of growing up with them, of having them as a sibling. They don't have any weird, biases. They are a unbiased third party that can look in and say, that's you're defining that thing wrong, because it's not a negative, it's a positive, because you've made it a positive. Because of the way you have acted in those situations and those circumstances, this thing that you think is negative is good, because you are genuinely doing the best you can with the things you've been given. And that's so cool, because it's something that we all need to hear. It's something we all need to learn. This isn't you can take any flaw and just pretend it's good, but this is there might be something that you struggle with, that you feel ashamed of, that you try to bury, that can be turned into a good, positive thing. Doesn't mean they're fun experiences. Doesn't mean this thing is now magically wonderful to look at and experience, but this flaw could be something powerfully good. Sometimes you just need a little bit of perspective. That is what I really wanted to talk about. It's these three books: Call Me Maybe, Sweet Talk, and Seat Mate, all by Cara, Bastone. They're all on Audible. They're all very, very good. Like I said, they're all really short. Obviously less than 8 hours, because that's how long a workday is. Call Me Maybe is 6 hours. Sweet Talk is 5 hours and 45 minutes. And Seatmate is 5 hours and 10 minutes. I highly recommend. I hope you enjoy. I also wanted to suggest a different platform instead of just physical books. I wanted to recommend audiobooks specifically, because I know a lot of people don't like reading physical books. Maybe they do have things like dyslexia that make it just difficult for you to read. Maybe you don't have the time to read, but you can listen to something. So I wanted to recommend a different platform for you. With all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night, great week, great weekend, great month, great year. I hope you have all of the greats because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, bye. 再见. Maddie, we're restarting. Delete all of that.